Hey y'all, I'm Blaine Phillips.
And I'm Jason LeVan.
We're married, like just a minute ago, but we've been together for 14 years.
We have a teenage daughter.
Which means she's basically an adult, right?
We're also growing a business on the side together.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Through all of that, we've learned how to improve so many aspects of our lives and show up in an amazing way.
So we decided to host a podcast to share our journey with you.
It's called Let's Do Life Together, because that's just what we want to do with you.
So if you could use some tips and tricks on how to make life a little smoother,
then you're in the right place.
Come on in and let's do life. So I'm not sure how I feel about zoos in general, but the one we just went to had otters and monkeys in the same exhibit area, so they won. It was dope.
It was dope. That's how we start this episode. Our Lessons from the Zoo, episode 48, was dope. The end. I think we can stop there.
Right. Everybody knows, so there's no debate, I don't think, that otters and monkeys are the two best animals to see.
Says
to
Jason.
Go look at.
Why is that, Jason? What makes them the best? Please tell us more before we dig in and really get started here, because this is interesting already.
Well, because they have fun. They frolic about.
Frolic?
They do stuff. They're fun.
Can they frolic? Who frolics?
They frolic. Otters, 100% frolic about.
I think that's swimming. That's not frolicking.
No, they play.
They play?
They play.
What is frolic, actually? Isn't that like a deer?
Does
a deer
frolic?
Otters frolic. What does a monkey do?
Monkeys can frolic.
They can frolic too?
Right.
So otters and monkeys both frolic.
Yeah, everybody knows this.
Oh, good. Everybody knows this. All right.
Those other things just kind of sit there.
Those other things,
animals,
lions, tigers, and bears,
right.
oh my.
Yeah.
They don't frolic. None
right.
of those things frolic.
But for looking at the otters and monkeys.
All right. Well, why are we telling you about the zoo? Well, let me tell you. Our local YMCA partnered with our local zoo this summer and decided to do a members come check out the zoo for free thing. And so I'm like, all right, we've got a free weekend. We haven't been to the zoo in like a month of Sundays. Let's be honest. I mean, Sienna was young. That's a thing you take young kids to, right? I mean, you do. And let me just tell you, it's still true. Mostly young children are there. We were one of 3 families that had their teenagers there, maybe. But it was the 3 of us. We decided to make a Saturday noon after it and go to the zoo, right? It'll be fun. I mean, you're going to make memories out of it no matter what. Especially, apparently, if there's otters and monkeys.
Otters and monkeys together. And it's little kids. There's like a fountain area right when you go there. So the kids
there's naked little kids.
Around.
Naked little kids right there at the front with their diapers filling up with water and running through and getting wet in the fountains. And they definitely probably didn't see any of the animals. They just came for the fountains. And then there's people that really spend time and read the things at the exhibits. And there's everybody in between. And it was hotter than I expected it to be that day. So I was like, all right, well, this is not necessary. Let me just be honest. I don't always love to do outdoor things unless I'm working out in the middle of the summer when I'm just going to sweat buckets. But we were sweating buckets that day.
Yeah, it was hot, and we had some other activities planned in that town. So we weren't expecting to make a day of the zoo. So we were taking advantage of the free entry, and we were going to go look at some animals.
Right. So here we are. It's me, Jason, and our 13-year-old, and we're going for it. We're going to go look at some animals. And we go in, and we start. You follow the signs. Jason is always all about the otters, for sure. And I will admit, the otters are kind of the coolest because, when it gets hot like that, it's important to note, the big animal, they're not moving. They're not doing anything. They're finding the shady spot, and they're, staying away from the sun, which I don't blame them. That's how I felt what I wanted to be doing. But otters, it's cool in that water, and they're just, I don't know, they're fun to watch frolic, although I feel like that's an inappropriate use of that word. But
and the tiger is up on the hill by the wall, and if you look real hard, you can see its ear. Yay, tiger.
So we're 5 minutes into our zoo experience, and Jason, quickly followed by Sienna, decided to come up with we got a fun game that we can play while we're at the zoo. It'll make our zoo experience that much more fun, right?
I'm sure lots of people play this game.
I'm sure lots of people don't.
So go pause, go send us a message on the Instagram. Tell us if you play this game. Everybody's favorite zoo game. Would you eat that?
You heard him right. He said, would you eat that? I can't even make this up. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, these two clowns are walking up to each exhibit. Like, they take about 3.2 seconds to look at the animal, and then they're like, I'd eat that. How would you eat that? Yeah, I'd eat that.
Default is yes.
The default there's no default. There was nothing you two wouldn't eat. There was no animal that
There was something.
What?
I don't remember, but I'm sure there was something.
I don't think so. And then it takes down this rabbit hole of how could we prepare it? Oh, I'd fry that up. And by P.S. side note, whenever they say fry that up, it means in our air fryer, which we're all in love with. But I'd fry that up. Jason, I'd throw that on the grill. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Let me just tell you.
But not the otters and monkeys.
That's where we draw the line. Not the otters and the monkeys. Let me just tell you, the cute little prairie dogs that are like sitting up looking, it really changes their cuteness when we walk up to the exhibit and they're looking for the plumpest one. I'd eat that one over there. Look at him. I'm like, oh my goodness.
The geese, we wouldn't eat the geese.
Because they're mean?
Right.
They wouldn't eat the geese because they wouldn't get close enough to get the goose because geeses, as Sienna will say, are mean. But it's fun. It's funny. It's just between our family. We're not actually eating animals. No one called PETA on us. We're eating the animals that we eat.
Oh.
You're not eating the prairie dogs, Jason. But you take your teenager to the zoo and your experiences change. Like, she's not running naked in the fountain anymore. And that was fun for her now. And now, would you eat that is fun. So that's our first lesson. You looking for a new game to play at the zoo? There you go. Jason has gifted you.
I guess you could play that just about anywhere, but the zoo is fun.
This was the first time they busted it out.
Save that one for your older kids.
This was the first time they busted it out, but for some reason, I feel like it won't be the last time we hear about would you eat that.
It was a bonding moment.
A bonding moment. Special father-daughter bonding would you eat that moment. Moving on to the emus. So we get over and they're in this fenced in area where you can go inside, like you can walk in there, and they're like, do you want to go in? I'm like, no. Those birds are big and they peck at you right at your level. And no, I don't want to get bitten at by the emu. I've been there, done that. There was someone who raised emus in the country where I grew up, and we went there and the eggs were so big, but they would bite me and it hurt. And I was not going in the emu exhibit. No, thank you.
They're kind of creepy.
Yeah.
With their birdie looking eyes and stuff.
But they're like dinosaur-y feet. They've got those 3 toes, so they look kind of dinosaur-y on their feet, but those big old do they frolic?
No.
Emus can't frolic?
Mm-mm.
No. Mm-mm. Now we know that we've drawn the line. Anywho, diddly, as we're walking over to the emu area, we're not going to go inside the fence, but we stand outside and we're looking around and we see this family walking ahead of us. And it's just the things that you notice that you don't even really notice. There's a kid. He's probably Sienna's age or a year older. He's a young teen boy, and he's got an ice cream in a cup in his hand, right? Probably Dippin' Dots. That's always what they have at those places, is those Dippin' Dots things, right? And he's got a spork that he's eating it with. And it's he goes to put a spoon of the ice cream into his mouth, and it's turned upside down. The spoon is upside down, and instead of a scoop, it's the other way, and he goes to put it, and we're just walking alongside of him. We don't know this kid, and he's like, oh, you're such a retard. Why would you do that?
For us, that's the thing that stands out often, is that negative self-talk. And we hope, and we don't hear it in Sienna, I don't think she does that when we're not around. I know for a fact some of her friends do, and it drives me nuts.
Yeah, we've had friends here for sleepovers that we've heard call themselves dumb, you're so dumb, or you look so fat in that dress. Just these negative self-talk things that they say to themselves.
And I guess it's a trigger for us. Maybe that's why we like pick up on that when people say it. I think people who have grown up like that probably aren't as aware of that. But for me, I always think of, if you talk to yourself like that, or you let your kids talk like that, what if you reverse that? What if you said those words to somebody else? Like, you wouldn't do that. So why are you saying it to yourself?
As that parent, if that child said that to his sibling, you wouldn't let him do that, right? You wouldn't let that child.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. You wouldn't. Hopefully they would not let. And no one was standing around him. It was just a thing. It was said off the cuff. But to be able to say it off the cuff that smoothly makes you feel like it's a thing that's probably regularly said or regularly used, that you would just default to a negative self-talk. So you would hope that they wouldn't say that to the sibling, but saying it to yourself is worse almost, or equally as bad at least. Like those things, you're creating that negative tape in your brain already. Right. And it was a simple thing as the spoon turned around the other way, like he's walking and eating ice cream at the same time, and your spoon prompts you to call yourself a retard.
Right. So something that doesn't matter at all. Like, that's okay, that one bite of ice cream, like, where does that come from? So, are you modeling that for your kids? Is that where it's coming from? Are you always calling yourself fat? Nothing fits because you're fat. Or does this outfit make me look fat? Or, I think you just need to have that awareness. Like, kids are going to listen. They hear you. You're modeling for them, and they're going to pick up on that. Don't you want them to see themselves in a positive way?
You see them in a positive way, and you want the best for them. That's modeled through you. Like, what are you saying when you make a mistake and you drop something on the floor? Are you saying, "Oh, that was so stupid"? Like, we do those things. We do. But that little thing has power, and they're picking up on it. And I don't know, maybe this was a one-time occurrence but it's not about the kid at the zoo. It's about the fact that we know we do these things. We know we speak negatively about ourselves, which you shouldn't do. We do it about ourselves in front of our kids, which we don't want to model. Are you letting your kids do that? Like, are you aware? Are you turning it around? I wouldn't say you don't discipline them. You just reshape it for them. Like, reshape. You shouldn't call yourself that. Just you minimize it for them, reshape it, and check yourself of what you're modeling to them, because it came from somewhere. It came from you, or it came from the circle of friends that they're spending time with. This happened just this summer. Sienna had a good friend, and she started to distance herself from this friend, and I just noticed it. Just as a mom, like, I didn't hear this friend's name that much anymore. And I asked about it one day, and she said to me that this friend was a pretty negative person. Sienna said that to me. She said, I just always noticed when I spent time with this person, they were negative, and it was kind of draining. And I had tried to build them back up, and I didn't know what to do. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, that makes me sad for that kid and happy for Sienna that she had tried to help, but it's this whole thing. So that was lesson number 2. We moved vastly away from would you eat that to self-talk. And what are you saying to yourself? What are you modeling to your kids? And what are they saying to themselves?
Lesson number 3.
Holy bazingas. So let me just say, we're on our way to the giraffes, which I freaking love the giraffes. There was a baby giraffe. I mean, apparently not as much as otters and monkeys, but there was even a baby giraffe. And those little jokers are still so tall, even as babies. I find it so amazing that they give birth standing up, and the little guy just falls out and starts walking. Like, I don't know. Those guys are amazing, with those really long necks. And what if you needed to cough? Like, how far down does that come from? What if something was stuck in your throat? Is there a point where it's too far gone and you need to, I don't know. There's a lot. I have a lot of questions involving giraffes. Do they frolic? Can they frolic?
Baby giraffes, maybe. I don't know.
Adult
like wobbly looking. I don't
Adult giraffes, they can't frolic though?
know. No, I don't think so.
How come? What prevents them from frolicking?
I think they're too big.
They're too big to frolic?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. But their legs aren't that long. The height is more in the neck, right?
Yeah, they're still pretty tall. Their bodies are up there.
All right. No frolicking on the giraffes. All right. Moving on. So we're walking to the giraffe exhibit. I'm here for it. I'm ready. Like, we're just walking, not paying attention. Passing by, there's a mom. I couldn't tell you what she looks like. It wasn't even about that. I noticed a mom, and I only know she's a mom because of what I'm about to tell you. We'll start out with, I noticed a lady sitting on the bench, and there is a man standing near the bench, and then there are two little kids, and there's a little girl, one of them. I'm pretty sure the other one was a boy, but I'm not positive on that. I don't know. I just saw what I know to be a mom now, and the daughter. And I hear the mom say to the daughter, "Oh, honey, don't you remember? I told you men just have more muscles than women."
So that's when I started dragging you away with my more muscles.
Jason used his more muscles to grab me by the hand and commence to pull me forward. I stopped. I stopped dead in my tracks for a moment. I don't know that I was going to say anything. It's not appropriate to say anything. But in that moment, it was like that woman had just picked up a 2x4 and smacked me between my eyes. And I don't know that I could have held my tongue, because sometimes I can be quick on my tongue. And Jason knows that. And he grabs me by the hand and commences to pull me on. I was like, "Did you?" And he's like, "Yes." And I was like, "No, but did you?" He's like, "Yes, I heard it. Yes, we're going to keep walking." Let's rewind the tape. Let's rewind the tape, just for clarity's sake. "Oh, honey, don't you remember? I told you men just have more muscles than women."
Yep. There you go.
What in the actual ham sandwich? First of all, that's a lie. That's just a lie. That's not true. They do not. We have the same number of muscles in our bodies. We are built the same way. So first, you just flat looked at her and told her a lie. Let's just stop there. I'm not saying that was your intention, but what the words that you just came out of your mouth were a fabrication of the truth. Part one.
And I'm sure, she was raised the same way, where these are the gender roles for women and men, and the men pick up heavy things and do those manly man things, and the women, do the looking pretty and the sweet things.
Did you say looking pretty?
Looking pretty.
We do the looking pretty. Can we frolic?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, women can frolic.
Well, yeah.
All right.
Maybe we can do that later.
Oh, boy. We've gone down a rabbit hole here, people. A prairie dog hole or something else. Yes, I get it. There are those gender roles, and she probably grew up in them. But as we've established, one, it's a lie. But two, at such a young age, you're creating this limiting belief in her. She has it in herself, obviously, that men are stronger, or they have more muscles, or there's things that are reserved for just men because they have more muscles, so they're stronger. And I don't know the context. I don't know if they just tried to do something and she wasn't able to do it. I have no idea what was going on. We were legit just walking by them. But these were the words coming out of a mother's mouth to a young girl.
Right. I mean, women can be strong. We know that. We see that every week when we go to the gym.
I'm strong.
Strong women.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
That's a thing. Mentally strong and physically strong and all kinds of strong. But I see women with some serious muscles every week at the gym. They're there. Our daughter is one of them, and she embraces that and is strong and loves to flex in the mirror and show us how she can do pull-ups. So there's just so much power in the words that we say. We just talked about this in our other lesson, but there is. And having that awareness of what you're saying, especially around your young and impressionable kids, is so important. Because I can stand here as a grown something woman, and tell you that there are things that people said to me as a child, as a young girl, that are still etched in my brain, limiting beliefs that I have to fight daily to get over. I was told that I was too fat to ever find a man that would be any good for me. Just so many things that were limiting beliefs that they told me that aren't true, but I believed them because the people in my life that were important were the ones that were saying them to me. And when you hear something over and over, you're going to believe it, especially if the person that's telling you is an authority in your life. So what are we saying? Let me tell you, in case you were wondering, men do not have more muscles than women. Just a quick fact check on that. Women can be really strong. So let's stop with that nonsense. And yes, Jason used his bigger than mine muscles to pull me forward in that scenario.
More muscles.
Well, more, right. Not bigger. Yeah, just more. There's more.
There's more of them.
Where are your extra muscles at?
I don't know.
Still
looking for those.
Where do we put your mores? Do you think you have more in your legs? Where are they?
I have no idea.
All right, moving on. Maybe. And back to we ended with, so we walk all around, we see the animals, we have our lessons from the zoo, and then finally we found the best exhibit of all, as Jason would say.
Well, so we found the otters, and I think there was a sign for the otters or something. So
yes,
we knew.
There was a sign. We were looking for the otters.
All right, we'll go look at these otters, and then we'll leave. And then there just happened to be monkeys in with the otters, so they won.
He didn't even see it at first. It was like up high, and it was like a big white monkey. So he's like watching the otters frolic about, and he's excited. He's like, yes, the otters, we're out of here after the otters, we're leaving. And then I'm like, look, there's a monkey, and he loves the monkeys too, and it's in there, and it's like climbing up on the rope. Oh my gosh, best exhibit of all, otters and monkeys combined in one exhibit. That was the high note of our zoo experience.
Yeah. And then it was time to go.
All in all, we probably spent an hour there, but we had fun. Yes, I had fun being like, oh my gosh, you two will not eat a prairie dog, but they totally would eat a prairie dog. Laughing at them and then looking for the otters and having fun with the monkeys and the otters. And Sienna's like giggling, Daddy, come over here. The monkey's going in this window. And then there were some hard lessons, but what was interesting was Sienna heard the mom say that to the daughter about the muscles as well. And she's like, Mommy, that's not true. And I'm like, yes. And let me tell you, you're never going to hear me say we always get it right. We do not always get it right as parents. You heard how hard 13 was a couple episodes ago. We're fumbling our way through most days, but there's some things I do think we're getting right. And I really don't. We work really hard not to instill any limiting beliefs into her and to build herself up and speak light and love and positivity over herself and over the people in her circle, and let her believe that she can do absolutely anything she wants to, lacking muscles or not. And I think she does believe that. So it's just a gut check. These are our lessons from the zoo. What are you saying in front of your kids? What are your kids saying to themselves? What beliefs are you instilling in them in such a young age? What animals actually frolic and which ones don't? And what would you eat?
Right. And then just, look for these opportunities to bond over silly games, like would you eat that? But then also, there's life lessons out there. As you're doing life, look for those opportunities to have those discussions and have those lessons.
Yep. All right. We hope you enjoyed our little experience at the zoo. And until next week, we'll see you later.